Hello everyone, today we're going to crochet these vest styles. First, let's look at the garment structure. The vest starts from the hem, crocheting in rounds upward. After reaching the underarm section, divide into front and back bodies for separate crocheting. Then when reaching the shoulders, join the front and back bodies. After completing the main part, finally crochet the edging for cuffs and neckline to finish the vest. This series of vests is crocheted entirely with double strands held together, with some sections using mixed yarns, and others using the same yarn doubled. Since the yarn used and the stitch definition aren't very clear, pay attention not to pick up the wrong stitches while crocheting. To demonstrate more clearly, we're using chunky yarn to show the specific crocheting method. First, cast on by making a slip knot with the corresponding yarn. Here we use a foundation chain to start crocheting chain stitches. After completing the required number of chain stitches for the cast on, slightly tidy up the right and wrong sides, then join the beginning and end. Insert the hook into the first chain stitch, picking up both the front loop and back loop. Let's take a look here. This is the half stitch of this chain stitch, and the strand at the back is the back loop of the chain stitch. That means we need to pick up both strands here. Make a slip stitch. Complete the connection. Next, start the first round with double crochets. First, make 3 chain stitches. These 3 chain stitches count as the first double crochet, then make the second stitch. Note that when crocheting double crochets in this round, the insertion point is the same as the beginning and ending join, picking up both the front loop and back loop. That means picking up these 2 strands to make a double crochet. Let's demonstrate a few more stitches. Continue working each stitch correspondingly to complete this round. After completing the last double crochet of this round, make a slip stitch join, finding the beginning chain. From the beginning chain upwards, 3rd chain stitch. Make a slip stitch join, then complete the connection. Start the next round. The next round still begins with 3 chain stitches as the starting chain. Count as the first double crochet, make another double crochet. Then make 2 front post double crochets. Yarn over, insert the hook from the front side of the next double crochet stitch. Pick up the entire double crochet stitch. Yarn over and pull through, then work a normal double crochet. This completes 1 front post double crochet stitch. Next, demonstrate another stitch. Yarn over and insert from the front side. Pick up the entire double crochet stitch. Yarn over and pull through. Work a normal double crochet. This completes 2 front post double crochets. Continue following this pattern, 2 double crochets, then 2 front post double crochets to complete the round. After finishing the last stitch, join with a slip stitch to the first stitch, that is, the third chain stitch here. Continue to the next round, still starting with 3 chain stitches. As the first double crochet, work another double crochet. Here are 2 double crochets, next corresponding to the previous round's front post double crochets, work 2 front post double crochets. Two double crochets. Two front post double crochets. The crocheting method for the following rounds is the same as the second round, alternating 2 double crochets and 2 front post double crochets until completing the required number of rounds to finish the hem section. After the hem is completed, begin working on the main part. Start the first row. 3 chain stitches as the first double crochet. Next, work 7 double crochets. Then work a double crochet increase in the next stitch. That means working 2 double crochets in the same stitch. After completing 1 double crochet, insert the hook into the same stitch. Work another double crochet. This completes a double crochet increase. Continue this round following the pattern, 8 double crochets, 1 double crochet increase. After completing the last stitch, join with a slip stitch to the first stitch. For the following rounds of the main part, work even double crochets upwards, following the corresponding color in the pattern chart. Complete crocheting as instructed. There are some points to pay attention to during this crocheting process. First, let's cover the common for all 3 vest styles, then explain the specific crocheting for each style. First, tidy up the yarn. This series of vests uses mixed yarns with multiple colors, and if not organized properly, the yarns can easily tangle during crocheting. In mixed yarn crocheting, if you work with 2 yarns like this while crocheting, 2 skeins will roll around nearby. With multiple colors, there could be 7 or 8 skeins rolling around, which gets very messy. You can prepare some mixed yarn balls in advance like this, so switching colors during crocheting becomes much clearer. Second, pay attention to direction and stitch count when reading the pattern chart. The main pattern sections here are worked back and forth, meaning right side and wrong side rounds alternate. Therefore, when matching the pattern chart structure, note that adjacent rounds have opposite directions for corresponding double crochets. The stitch counts are also reversed. For example, these stitches marked by the stitch marker. Assuming this is the first stitch of the right side round, then this would be the second stitch of that right side round. This is the first stitch of the next round worked on the wrong side. These two rounds' first stitches correspond, and the stitch next to this blue marker on the wrong side round. It actually corresponds to the last stitch of this round, meaning the second stitch of that round worked in the right side direction, corresponding to the next round. It's actually the last stitch worked in the wrong side direction. During crocheting, when reading the pattern chart, always count stitches carefully according to direction, to avoid color pattern mistakes. Third, changing colors and weaving in ends on the backside. To create different patterns, the vest often requires color changes during crocheting. We can see multiple color changes needed within the same row here. To avoid frequent cutting and joining yarn, after changing colors, you can wrap the unused yarn behind and weave it in, then continue crocheting, switching back to that color when needed. First, we'll demonstrate the basic method of changing and weaving in yarn, then explain specific tips for each vest style when changing and weaving in yarn. First, let's see how to change colors. During color changes, switch yarn half a stitch early, meaning only complete half of the stitch before the color change. Let's mark this with a stitch marker. Suppose we need to change colors at this stitch marked by the marker. So, the yarn change should happen at the stitch before the color change stitch, right here. Make an incomplete double crochet, meaning this double crochet stitch is only half completed. Then take out the corresponding yarn for the color change. Pull the new color through the loop. This completes the color change. Then you can start crocheting with the new color. This is the method for changing colors. Let's demonstrate it again. First, make an incomplete double crochet, then take out the yarn for color change. Simply pull it through the loop to complete the color change. After changing colors, you can continue crocheting directly with the new color. Next, let's see how to weave in ends. Actually, weaving in ends often happens simultaneously with color changes. So we'll go back to where we just changed colors to demonstrate how to weave in ends. First, let's see how to weave in ends when crocheting on the right side. Here, we'll continue crocheting with the next color. The color we just switched to is white, so the yarn to be hidden is the purple yarn we switched from, as well as the yarn tail from the white yarn switch. That means, we need to weave these two strands into the wrong side. Yarn over, pull through the next stitch. At this moment, take these two strands that need to be hidden, wrap them around the hook from back to front. Then work a normal double crochet. Let's demonstrate a few more stitches. Yarn over. Insert into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, taking the strands to be hidden. Wrap them around the hook from back to front. Then work a normal double crochet. Crochet a few more stitches first, then check the wrong side effect. After completing several stitches, gently tighten these 2 strands slightly. Then adjust the tension on the right side. Now take a look. The yarn on the right side is woven in and not very noticeable on the wrong side. Checking from the wrong side, the yarn is actually hidden here. This is the method for weaving in ends when crocheting on the right side. Now let's see how to weave in ends on the wrong side. Currently facing the wrong side of the fabric, the strands to be hidden are the white yarn tail from the recent color change and the purple yarn we switched from. These 2 strands need to be woven into the wrong side. Yarn over and pull through the loops. Wrap these 2 strands to be hidden around the hook from back to front. Work a normal double crochet. These 2 strands from back to front. Wrap them around the hook. Crochet a few more stitches first, then check the effect. Now working on the wrong side, you can see the strands we just hid on the wrong side. Now locate the hidden yarn tails. Gently tighten and adjust the tension. Then return to the right side, where these 2 strands were hidden on the wrong side. 1 white strand and 1 purple strand are less noticeable. This is the method for weaving in ends when working on the wrong side. Earlier we demonstrated how to weave in ends while crocheting patterns. Note that weaving in ends can affect the finished product's dimensions. The yarn isn't cut here, it's carried behind as you crochet. If the carried yarn is too loose, it will affect the front side appearance. For example, when crocheting the white section now, the purple part is hidden behind, but the purple part here is carried too loosely. When the yarn on the wrong side is too loose, check the right side. While crocheting the white pattern section, you can see purple on the wrong side. If the yarn is too loose, when crocheting, it affects the front appearance. You'll see other, colored yarn on the right side. Conversely, if you pull the hidden yarn very tight, let's try it. You'll notice that when the yarn is pulled very tight, you won't see the carried yarn on the front side, but this part of the fabric becomes too narrow. This means if the carried yarn is pulled too tight, the garment's dimensions will become smaller and narrower. Therefore, during color changes while crocheting, always remember to check after every few stitches. Adjust the fabric tension properly. Keep the fabric flat. Achieve a look where no yarn from the wrong side shows on the right side, while maintaining overall flatness. Next, let's look at specific points to note when changing colors and weaving in ends for different vest styles. First is the wave style, which has frequent color changes. You might need to change colors multiple times within the same row, so we don't recommend cutting yarn frequently for this style. When crocheting pattern sections, simply carry all color change yarns behind together as you work. Let's look at the back of the garment. For example, here we're crocheting the teal section, but both sides of the teal section need to switch to navy blue, so it's not recommended to cut the navy blue yarn separately on both sides of the teal. When crocheting the teal section, you can carry the switched out navy blue yarn along with other color yarns here, all together behind as you work. Don't worry about carrying multiple color yarns being too noticeable. As you can see, from the right side, the yarn on the wrong side isn't really visible, because the yarn is relatively fine and has loops that help hide the carried yarns well. However, it's important to note that, during the carried yarn crocheting process, you need to adjust the tension of the carried yarns frequently. For the wave style, since almost the entire piece is worked with carried yarns, compared to the other 2 vests, The cactus and field styles. The finished width will be slightly narrower. Now let's look at the cactus style. You can see in the cactus section here. Each piece actually uses relatively small amounts of green yarn. If you carry the yarn continuously while crocheting, the carried yarn would become too long. When crocheting the cactus section, you can divide the cactus into 5 sections total. The top and bottom of the front and back bodies are 2 separate sections. The front and back bodies each have 2 separate sections. And the middle part here connects the patterns of the front and back bodies together. This is the largest section, divided into 5 sections total. Prepare small mixed color yarn balls in advance as suggested by the chart, and join yarn separately for each section. Now look at the middle beach section. Pay attention to this middle area. For this camel brown color block, if you don't cut the yarn and keep working back and forth, after crocheting several rows, the carried yarn will gradually get longer, and more stitches will require carrying the yarn. Eventually you might even need to carry the yarn for nearly a full round. So for this color block, it's recommended to divide it into 2 parts using yarn, with the underarm area between the front and back bodies as the dividing point. Left and right sides. Each side of the front and back bodies corresponds to 1 skein for crocheting. Next, look at the field style. You can see the light brown here and the dark brown here. These 2 large color blocks use different circle yarn color numbers, but the corresponding yarn color numbers are identical. So for the lower part of the vest, this large area of dark brown and light brown, the yarn can remain uncut during crocheting. When changing colors, only switch the circle yarn color number. Additionally, look here. This middle light brown color block. This is the same as the previous cactus style. If you crochet this color block back and forth, and keep the yarn uncut while changing colors, then as you progress, the length of yarn needed for wrapping will become longer. Therefore, it's recommended to divide at the middle of the underarm, split into 2 sections. Crochet the front and back bodies separately by joining yarn on both sides. Also, notice that the patterns on the front and back bodies are slightly different. The tree and background colors, the orange, pink and yellow, are exactly reversed. On the right side, the tree is orange pink and the background is yellow. On the other side, the tree is yellow and the background is orange pink. The orange pink yarn for both the front and back bodies and the yellow yarn need to be separated into mixed skeins in advance. That means these 2 colors of yarn should be divided into 2 mixed skeins beforehand, corresponding to crocheting the front and back bodies separately. The previous explanation was about the during the pattern section. When crocheting the pattern section reaches the underarm, it's time to break the yarn. Then at the underarm area, you need to join new yarn, including at the neckline part. You also need to join new yarn for crocheting. Additionally, at both the underarm and neckline sections, decrease stitches with double crochets are required. Here's how to do the double crochet decrease. Still using chunky yarn for demonstration. Starting the demonstration from joining yarn. Take out the corresponding yarn for joining. Make a slip knot. Find the insertion point for joining yarn. Pull the yarn through, completing the join. Next, let's look at the double crochet decrease technique. First is the decrease at the starting position of a row. Start by chaining 2. Then make a double crochet in the next stitch. That completes 1 double crochet decrease. When working the next row back, pick up 1 double crochet stitch, meaning these 2 strands here count as 1 stitch. This is the completed starting section decrease. Continue crocheting double crochets downward. When reaching the end of a row and needing to decrease, let's demonstrate the end of row double crochet decrease. Make 2 incomplete double crochets. First, yarn over. 1 incomplete double crochet. 2 incomplete double crochets. Now there are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops at once to complete 1 double crochet decrease. Next, let's demonstrate again for the beginning section of a row, and the end section double crochet decreases. At the beginning of a row, chain 2. Make 1 double crochet. This is 1 double crochet decrease. Continue working double crochets correspondingly in each stitch. When decreasing at the end of a row, first make 2 incomplete double crochets. Then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook at once. Complete 1 double crochet decrease. Continue following the pattern chart to change colors, work the design, and finish the underarm and neckline sections. This vest is mainly crocheted with mixed yarn, but there are also parts that don't require mixing yarn. For example, in the upper part of the main body, the sky section here doesn't require mixed yarn, and is worked with 2 strands of the same color held together. When working on this section, since there's only 1 ball of yarn, take 1 strand from the middle and another strand from the outer ring. Then join these 2 strands together. Work this way, joining the strands while crocheting. Crochet the main part upward all the way to the shoulders. When reaching the last row, join the front and back bodies. Here's a demonstration of the method for joining the front and back bodies. Consider this as the last row of the back body, and this is the last row of the front body being worked. After completing the first stitch of the last row on the front body, enlarge the loop and remove the hook. Find the corresponding stitch on the back body. Insert the hook. Then thread it through the enlarged loop. Pull the yarn through. This completes the connection for this stitch, then continue to the next stitch. After completing the next stitch, enlarge the loop again and remove the hook. Find the corresponding stitch on the back body. Pass through with the hook and pull the loop out. This completes the second stitch connection. Let's demonstrate a few more stitches. Continue with this joining method afterward. Match up the stitches to complete the connection of the front and back bodies, which is the shoulders. Once the main part is completed, finally, crochet the edging for the neckline and cuffs. The stitch technique for the neckline and cuffs edging is the same as the hems crocheting method. The first round is double crochet, and the following rounds continue with the pattern of 2 double crochets, 2 double crochets and chain. However, when crocheting the neckline and cuffs edging, pay attention to decreasing on the first round of double crochet. Refer to the chart for the exact number of decreases. For the neckline and cuff sections, the amount of decreases varies, so be sure to count the stitches carefully. After completing the edging, weave in the ends to finish the vest. One thing to note when weaving in the ends, at the neckline edging and shoulder connection position. After picking up stitches on both sides, the gap might be quite large. When weaving in the ends at the shoulders, use a sewing needle to insert the yarn tail. At the front and back bodies connection, where the holes are larger, work several extra stitches to tighten the connection. This way, it won't look like there's a big hole.